Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm the Thesterninator, and today we're taking a look at a challenge contest that was put out recently. I'm very excited to talk about this, very pumped about it, so let's go ahead and hop into it. First and foremost, this challenge was put out by the Panio. They have a whole region of Pokemon that they've gotten through commissions and drawings and just a ton of stuff. Go and check them out because this is to celebrate their 30K followers. A huge milestone. Very, just big congratulations to the Panio about this. This is awesome. Check them out again. Great art. This challenge focused around drawing a dragon, and I happen to love drawing dragons. I've worked on a couple different projects that really emphasized the inclusion of dragons, whether that be for Pokemon or D&D. I worked on a Draconidex with a creator named Quill, and we were able to create this huge D&D supplemental that incorporated a ton of different dragons into the D&D mythology. So this was something that I was really excited about and really feels up my alley. I knew that going in there were going to be some specifications as to what was going to be required in this drawing. It had to be a blue and or light blue coloring as the main motif of the look. It had to be a water type, and it had to be based on Japanese and Chinese mythology. Those were some really good ideas to go off of. So it also had to have the behavior of being wise and calm. So with dragons, that would become a little bit of a challenge, because when I think of a dragon, I think of this big, threatening, imposing existence, and we had to move away from that. So I started by taking something that was going to be very prominent in the design. I looked at the nose and the muzzle and thought, what if this water-based dragon kind of had almost these cannon-style nostrils, and it could almost shoot water through these nostrils, and I thought that's kind of fun. That's something that really gives some joy to this design, I think. So I incorporated that. I wanted to give it, rather than these traditional dragon horns like we see in most European dragons, I wanted to give it almost an antler style horn. So we have that. We have this fun muzzle, we have these less threatening horns, and that allowed me to give it more of this excited and prepared to fight type of look to its face without really making it appear threatening at all. As I've said in other videos, having a Pokemon that feels like it could be your friend is not just my understanding of the design process, but it's also part of the Sugimori method. It's part of what goes into designing any Pokemon. Could this Pokemon be your friend? Do they look like they could be your companion? And so taking that and applying that to this dragon, I'm going to be honest, was a lot easier than the challenge that I'd been doing, which was, I'm currently in a run of doing Elden Ring bosses as Pokemon. Same base principles, but a little bit more simplified here. As I've said before, when you take something that is already designed to be imposing and you want to make it appear more friendly, the biggest step that you take on that is condensing. You can draw a million scales over this whole thing, but those harsh surfaces are going to make it a lot more difficult for this Pokemon to feel huggable, if I can put it that way. It's going to make it harder for them to feel like they can be traveling along with you as a companion. So removing that and smoothing that out, going from harsh, big ridges on the back to these soft and more versatile fins, I think added a lot to the idea that this could be a Pokemon. I wanted to give it this mermaid-like tail just to more emphasize the idea that this is a water type. I think with the coloring and with the design elements, it already is fitting a lot of that motif, but how can we go a little bit bigger? So I wanted to give it a silhouette that felt more natural. It has these huge fins that almost give it a shark-like appearance, and this long snout with this use to it, with this purpose to it appearing that way. I genuinely think this was a really fun design, and one that I'm very proud of. I think that the colors really mesh well, and we're able to use various different types of blues without overpowering one to the other. It has this long, slender, and smooth body that really allows me to see it kind of swimming and racing through the ocean. It makes it feel like a legendary. And that was a big part of the design inspiration. When the Panio put this project out, it was designed to say that this would be a potential legendary for the region. And so I wanted it to have this very regal look. Not only does it look friendly, not only does it still have that imposing presence, but it had to look like something that was powerful. That's a lot to balance, but I think that we struck something here that really takes into account all of those different aspects. I wanted to give it this wide stance, these larger forearms to balance the front end, but these smaller back legs, almost vestigial, almost like running isn't the biggest point of this dragon, but swimming and maybe even flying might be. And giving it those long whiskers really informed the idea that this is a Japanese or Chinese inspired look. That long body even further adds to that, giving it this serpentine-like feel, as well as that just, again, I can't talk enough about how much I love the nostrils on this guy, and just the idea that it's able to shoot these huge jets of water, where Blastoise has these cannons. This Pokemon has these nostrils that function in very much the same way. And so here we have it. Here is Namiraiu. Namiraiu's name comes from the Japanese terms for wave and dragon. Namiraiu, it's a wave dragon. It itself looks like a wave. Its body moves in a wave. It is, in all aspects, a living wave. And I really dig that. I know I say that every time that I do one of these challenges or one of these drawings, but I really enjoy the idea of taking all of these aspects, pulling them together to create something fun and interesting. So the Panio, if you're watching, I hope that you enjoy this design, and if you're any other viewer, I hope that you enjoy it as well. Make sure that you drop a like, comment, and a subscribe if this is something that you enjoy. I love talking to you guys in the comments. I say that pretty much every single time, but I really mean it. I do love talking to you guys in the comments, seeing what you have to say. And you can find me on all the social medias. Those are going to be linked down below. If you want to get more detail on this design, its stats, its typing, its shiny, make sure to follow me on Instagram. That's where I post a lot of this stuff. And you can see early access to these things through the Patreon. So a lot of options there. I also have a Twitter. I don't post to it as often as I should, but if you want to see kind of the process and where I'm at with editing videos and drawing these out sketch process, you can find me there. But until then, you know where to find me, and I'll catch you in the next video.